Hello once again, Allah Apa to all the Baha'is, non-Baha'is, whoever is interested in the truth. Greeting to you all. Today is Saturday, time is 7:23. We're continuing this Mathnavi of Baha'u'llah. So it continues about the spring, which is the revelation of God. He talks here, he says, گر وزد بر تو نسیمی زین صبا. If wafts over to you a breeze of this Sheba, if blows towards you a Nasim breeze of this Sheba. So there is a wind, I know in Canada we have all kind of names for snow. I know in Arab, in Saudi Arabia, probably a lot of words for camel. I haven't heard there'd be a lot of words for wind in Iran, but I know where I come from in Damghan, which is some area about 3-4 hours west of Tehran, east of Tehran. There are different names for wind. I've really heard from my mother. She was saying the red wind. A red wind, have you heard? I guess the reference to the a big huge wall of sand, a red color almost coming. Maybe it was in the dust, they call it the red wind. There is such a thing in the literature of Iran. It's called the wind of Sheba. This wind is called the wind of Sheba. And Sheba in the Bible is the queen of Sheba, who's the prophet Solomon was in love with. Again, it's one of those stories in Iran. It's big. The story of Solomon and Sheba and how much he's in love with Sheba. And the Sufism and the mysticism, they clearly say that Sheba is the God. God, there was probably no Sheba. Solomon is talking of his love to God, in here. So, let's get out a bit. You can see these lines probably with the sun, with the light into it. So, if wafts over to you a breeze of this Sheba, which is they say Sheba, Solomon would take the wind and orders the wind to do things, to go to, say, to the queen of Sheba. And he, in Iran is definitely there, that he knew the language of all the animals, he could talk to them, to the wind, to the word, to the earth. So it has become a symbol of, in the literature, Persian literature. So Baha'u'llah uses that in this case. He says if a breeze comes from the Sheba, which is the beloved really, he says then, جان فانیت کشد جام بقا. Jan means the soul, Fani means transient, mortal. This T is a reference to a pronoun to you, to the person. So your T means your mortal soul, Keshad, drinks, Jaume Baga, the chalice of immortality. Just a breeze of that as this comes to you. Your mortal soul will drink from the chalice of immortality. That means it becomes immortal. Keshad here means drink. It says jam dar keshid means took the jam, draw it towards the mouth. So that is one line. In this case, again, jam means chalice, a means of, baqa means immortality, keshad means draw or drink in this case. Alright, again he says, back to the nasim, the breeze again. گر نسیمی آیدت از کوی دوست if a breeze comes to you from kuye, means today they say kuche, old time they would say kuy. Kuy means a lane, and here it means the abode, the place of dus. Dus means friend, but in this case the friend is God. So if a breeze comes from the abode of your friend or your eternal friend, Jan Fada Yashkon. Jan is the soul, Fada means sacrifice, She means his, Fada Yashkon means sacrifice for him, the Jan. Ke, that in this Jan, soul, ham also as of him. Ust means, u is the third person, ust means he is. So he says, Jan fada yashkun, ki in Jan ham azust, sacrifice the life, sacrifice the life, that this soul and this life is also of him. Baha'u'llah says, well, we talk a lot of time about sacrifice, you know, in the Baha'i faith. Really, sacrifice means give something for no return. Give something and expect no return. In the spiritual realm, there's no such things. We are not capable of sacrificing, really. Sacrifice really means exchange. That's all. That's what it means. In the Baha'i faith, when they say sacrifice, it means sacrifice the material, what you like, for the spiritual value. It is impossible for us to give in the way of God and not receiving anything. Why? Because we're imperfect. Only a perfect being can give with no return, because it's perfect, it doesn't need anything. That would be God, that would be Baha'u'llah. He's coming in the planet. The appearance in the body of Baha'u'llah has absolutely no reason whatsoever that we could give him. Nothing. He wants strange things. He wants other, ascendancy, our height towards the spiritual values. So Baha'u'llah says here, this is the testimony to my word. It says, give your life. It's not yours anyways, it is his. So we think, oh, I sacrificed my life. A lot of people we hear that, or others, they say he sacrificed his life. There's no such thing. He exchanged his life, his anything, his wealth, his freedom, everything, for something higher, always. So it's good to know this about this sacrifice. So in the third line, he says, Lawli Tawheed bin dar in bahar, Sonbul Tajreed bin az zulf yar. This is written Sonbul, but in Persian, whenever N comes in front of the B, N pronounced as M. Example, Sonbul, they say Sonbul. Gun bad. They don't say gun bad, N before B. They say gum bad. Okay. Sonbade. They don't say sonbade, they say sombade. It just the tongue doesn't turn N. It says M. So N before B is pronounced as M. Sonbul Tajreed bin as zulf yar. Lala means tulip. Tawheed is unity, because tulip shows a unity, of 5, 6, petals. It says Lawli Tawheed, the tulip of oneness, unity, spiritual unity, oneness. Being look in this spring. In this spring, he says, you can see the Lawli Tawheed. Tawheed, my God, the Tawheed of the people, or the Ittihad, which means, the unity of the people, is a big subject. I'm not going to talk about it right now because Baha'u'llah did not say Ittihad. He just said you Tawheed. This is definitely something to do with God and spirituality, not the unity of the people. So the tulip of the oneness, see there in this spring. You can see it, he says. And how often we have seen that. Then it says, Sambal tajreed bin az-zulfiyar. Sambal means hyacinth. It's a plant. I don't know if you know hyacinth. It's got a stem comes out with one huge flower in the center. Maybe it's composed of many other flowers, but it's kind of a purple color. It is one of the 7 items that the Persian anciently, they would put it as in the table of the Nowruz. A Nowruz table would have to have 7 items made out of letter S, which is Sambal is one of them. Then Sirke is another one, which is vinegar. And Sekke coin is another one of them. Sir, garlic, is one of them. But Sambal is that, the hyacinth. It says Sambal tajreed, the hyacinth of singleness, because it has a single flower in the center, has been used. Baha'u'llah, the entire Mathnavi, he uses all the plot. His plot is nature. So the first one was Lali Tawheed, which is the tulip of oneness. This one is Sambal tajreed. Tajreed means singleness. There's a difference between oneness and singleness. Tawheed is a oneness that is made out of few component, but together they are one. So it is called as Tawheed, means oneness. Tajreed means singleness. This is the one that is going to be one particular item. There's not too many that they are together. It's a singleness. So Sambal Tajreed, the hyacinth of the singleness, see of the curl. The ladies, when they have hair around, even here right now, if one side of the hair is long, it's got a kind of a curl. It's all in all the classic picture, you could see it. They call that Zulf. Zulf means hair, but Zulf is particularly that part of the hair that in the front comes down. Yar means beloved. So Sambal tajreed bin az-zulf yar. The hyacinth of the singleness, look from the zulf of the yar. For example, Sambal tajreed, one of them is Sulaiman Khan, because it was a single effort that he did, It was on his own. But Lali Tawheed, you could see the one in Tabarsi, where all the letters of the living, they were united together and they died. That would be the Lali Tawheed. Sulaiman Khan or Tahira is the Sambal tajreed, you see. Being a Zulfiyar, just an example. So, some of the words are difficult. We're going to the 4th line. قنچه‌های معرفت زین طرف جوی. قنچه means bud, the flower bud. قنچه‌های means the buds. Ye means of. I've written it A. So the buds of ma'rifat. Ma'rifat means understanding, wisdom. Okay? The buds of wisdom find, discover, see, joy, to find. Find in this sight. That means in this sight, that is on the side of God, on the side of this springs and Bahar, you'll find the buds of the wisdom. There is lots of them in the Baha'i faith right now. I can think of some. So, the buds, they grow to become big. It says it is in these springs. which all of them, it says جملگی از شوق او در جستجو. What wisdom makes you to do? Makes you جستجو, search. جملگی means all of them. As because of showq, enthusiasm of him in search. جستجو means search. So the buds of wisdom find in this side. They are all of enthusiasm. Showq, which is the showqi's name. Showq, him, in search. You're all in search. Because of his enthusiasm, they're in search. What? They're searching the truth. Wisdom always search, you see. The final line. سروهایش حاکی از قد نگار. Sarv is a tree, juniper, cedar, cypress actually. Cypress is the sarv, one type of sarv I think in the Israel in Haifa, at the tomb of the Bab, they would be cypress. They're called the sarv of Shiraz, the cypress of Shiraz. They call it cypress, but we call it sarv. Sarv ha, H over H. I wrote it in a fancy way. So, sarv ha, the cypress shades his cypresses, haki, indicative, as of qad negar. This D has to pronounce twice. Qad, negar. Qad means the height. Height of a person is his qad. Negar again is the Persian term, just like yar. Negar is exactly a synonym to yar here, which I had to write, I forgot to transliterate it. Yar, let's use this and do it for the record. So the yar there we go. So what are we? Its juniper, its cypresses are indicative of the height of the beloved. So, I don't know, Iranians, maybe they're shorter people, but they were very fond of a tall woman. So a tall woman would come in the literature of the Sufis, refer to the tall woman is a beautiful sight for them to admire it. So Baha'u'llah uses that. He says Sarvahaish because Sarv Shiraz is really tall. He says all those cypresses are indicative of the height of the beauty ones. So as we said before, everything returns to God. Everything is indicative of God. Everything is a sign of God. But this Sarvha is not reference to the natural Sarv. It's reference to those martyrs, to those Baha'is, that they just grow tall in the realm of a spirituality. Like Martha Ruth is definitely a Sarv. You see, Tahira is a Sarv. Spiritual height they attained are indicative of the beauty, of the tallness of their beloved, which is God. Here is something else that you're not very familiar with. It says Sabzehawiyash daftari as Khaddiyar. Sabze means grass, the greeneries, the green grasses. She again his sabze daftari. Baha'u'llah says this grass that you see, he says it is like a daftar, it's like a book. Every one of them is a line, you see. It's a little hair, you know. Is a book. All these grasses are a book. As Khaddiyar, of Khaddiyar. Yar means, again, beloved. Khadd which is like qad. Is in most dictionaries they say that is the cheek, but I am of certain, doesn't matter what the books say, it is a reference to the facial hair of the beloved. It is something nowadays that a woman would, remove their facial hair to be very ugly. But in Iran, at the time of Sufis, I don't know, 500-600 years, it has been admired by all, again, Sufi writing and writers and poets, that they admire those very tiny facial hairs on the lips of a younger woman or a woman. They would not actually get rid of it, apparently. I haven't been at that time to know. But that is something very beautiful in the eye of the Iranian beauty worshippers. So Baha'u'llah has used that. He says, these green grasses, the grasses, are nothing but a book. Indicative, this haki returns here, is indicative of that lips hair, facial hair, whatever you call it in English, Bristol, something, of the beauty of the yar. So the yar, he says, when you see these things, sabzahar, look at that it is the facial hair on the lips of your beloved God. But again, this is not a reference to the grass, the real grass. It's a reference to maybe tiny people like me, that they are, as opposed to a sarv, which is a tall tree, I'm like a little grass. But all of it that comes in the Baha'i faith, from the Baha'is, that then they show all these attributes through their actions, they all constitute the quality and attributes that exist in their beloved God, to the God that they're trying to go. So I hope I covered everything pretty much. There's again more. Tawheed and Tajdeed is one line that is rhyming, so is Yar and Bahar. There's two rhymes again in this line. That's an amazing poetry. I mean, if you were speaking language, you see, I, like you people, try to, I'll give you a work, try to read this, see this, get the type it, the English people, English speaking, and write down this transliteration under it. As I've said, I still it's not on the website, but that little booklet that is going to come soon, that would say these words, the transliterated, and from what I try to translate, use your own translation and make this Mathnavi of Baha'u'llah translated in English. Why not? Don't wait for the Persians. Do it, you do it, okay? See you.